Hi Year 7, today what we're looking at is multiplying a decimal by a whole number. So when multiplying a decimal by a whole number, the number of digits after the decimal point is the same in the question as the answer. Let's have a look at this. So this first I do question, we are multiplying 2.8 by 5. What we want to do is we want to set this up as an algorithm. So we want to write 2.8 times 5. Now see in our question we have one place after the decimal point. That means we want one place after our decimal point in our answer. So we sort of want to ignore this decimal point here for the meantime. We then just want to go what is 5 times 8, which is 40. So we put a 0 here, our 4 up above. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 4 is 14. And then we place our decimal point so that we have one number after our decimal point, so that our answer is 14.0. Now looking at our next question, we have 85 cents or $0.85 times 7. So what we want to do is look in our question and see that we have two places after our decimal point. So because we have two places after our decimal point in our question, we want two places after our decimal point in our answer. So really just going 0.85 or 0.85 times 7. We're doing this as an algorithm. We're forgetting about this decimal point for the moment. We're going what's 7 times 5, which is 35. What's 7 times 8, which is 56, plus the 3 is 59. What's 7 times 0 is just 0 plus the 5 is 5. We then want two places after our decimal point. So we have our 5 and our 9, and then our decimal point will go between our 5 and our 9. And we are answering this in terms of dollars. Our next one, what we have is 47.36 times 3. Now again, we have two places after our decimal point, so we want two places after our decimal point in our answer. So we're going 47.36 times by 3. Again, we want to ignore that decimal point for the meanwhile. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 3 is 9 plus the 1 is 10. 3 times 7 is 21 plus the 1 is 22. 3 times 4 is 12 plus the 2 is 14. Now we want two numbers after our decimal point, meaning that our decimal point must go between the 2 and the 0. So our answer is 142.08. You now have 3 minutes to have a go at the You-Do questions. For this first You-Do question, you should have seen that there is one number after the decimal point, so we want one number after our decimal point in our answer as well. You should have gone 32 times 6. 2 times 6 is 12, 3 times 6 is 18, plus the 1 is 19. We want one place after our decimal point, so our answer should be 19.2. Our next one, you should have seen that there are two numbers after our decimal point. So there are two places after our decimal point in our question, so two places in our answer. So we should have 0.64 times 8. Again, we don't need to worry about that decimal point. In that first You-Do question, I didn't even write it. It would go there. What we then want to do is go 8 times 4, which is 32. 8 times 6 is 48 plus 3 is 51, and then 8 times 0 is 0 plus 5 is 5. We then want to put our decimal point back in, so we have two places after our decimal point, so that our answer is $5.12 or 5.12. This last You-Do question, we have 28.92 times 4. So we have our 9 and our 2, meaning that we have two places after our decimal point in our question, so 2 places after our decimal point in our answer. So it's 28.92 times by 4. Now 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 9 is 36. 4 times 8 is 32, plus a 3 is 35, and 4 times 2 is 8 plus 3 is 11. We had two numbers after our decimal point, so we want two numbers after our decimal point in our answer as well. So they are the answers to our I do and our you do questions. Now what we're going to look at is when we multiply by 10, 100 or 1,000, we move the decimal point the number of 0 places to the right. So for this first one, we have 0.18 times 10. So I have 1 0 here. So I want to move my decimal point. Now my left is this way and my right is this way. So I'm moving my decimal point 1 place to the right because I had 1 0, meaning that my answer will be 8.1. My next one, I have 0.031. I have times 100. I have 2 zeros in 100, so I want to pick up my decimal point, move it 2 places to the right, so that my answer is 3.1. I then have 1.015 times 1,000. There are 3 zeros in 1,000, so I want to move my decimal point 3 places to the right, 1, 2, 3, so that my answer is going to be 1,015. In this last one, we have 0.600 times by 1,000, so I want to multiply or move my decimal point, 3 places to the right because there are 3 zeros in 1,000. So 1, 2, 3, so that my answer is 600. Now you can pause the video and have a go. I'll give you about 2 minutes to have a go at the you do questions. Alrighty, so for the you do questions, we have 0.74 times 10. Now there is 1 0 in 10, so we have to move the decimal point 1 place to the right. So your answer should be 7.4. Our next one, we have 0.024 times 100. There are 2 zeros in 100, so we want to move our decimal point 2 places to the right so that our answer is 2.4. Our next one, we have 3.092 times 1,000. Now there are 3 zeros in 1,000, so we want to move our decimal point 1, 2, 3 places to the right so that our answer is 3,092. And in our last one, we have 0.95 times 1,000. There are 3 zeros in 1,000, so we are moving our decimal point 1, 2, 3 places to the right so that our answer is 950.